battery itself. Why it is? Because of the rarest elements are used in this. As the chemicals are widely used in this, the future of the batteries used to be done. Presently, NMC batteries are used in most electric car models globally, but in the price-sensitive markets, LFP ones are more prevalent. Electric scooters use both LFP and NMC variants. The global push for electrification of vehicles has created a rush for secure supply chain of battery materials such as lithium, cobalt, nickel and graphite. So, as the organizations are moving, as the countries are moving towards electric vehicles, the demand for these elements has been extremely increasing. Which minerals are? Lithium, cobalt, nickel and graphite. So, the storage of minerals will depend on which battery chemistry, NMC or LFP or other emerging options, becomes the predominant technology used in EVs. Currently, lithium mining is concentrated in Australia, Chile, China and Argentina. Lithium is not a scarce resource and its current resources are estimated at 21 million. The shortage of minerals will depend on which battery chemistry. So, lithium is not a scarce resource and it is currently estimated with 21 million tons of lithium is available. So, share of top producers of battery minerals. So, nickel, you can see Australia, 33% of nickel can be seen in Indonesia and Russia and Canada and rest of the world. Cobalt, 69% of the cobalt comes from Democratic Republic of Congo, whereas in the case of followed by Australia. 52% of the global reserve of lithium comes from only one particular country called as Australia, followed by Chile, okay, China and Argentina. So, in 2020-21, India imported lithium batteries worth about 9,000 crore rupees. What is the worth of batteries that India imported in 2020-21 is roughly around 9,000 crore rupees. So, these 9,000 crore rupees worth batteries, lithium ion batteries has been imported by India, and these lithium ion batteries imported by India, 73% are coming from China and 23% are coming from Hong Kong. China has a presence across the value chain, that is mining, production, fabrication, manufacturing and sale, copper, cobalt, nickel and lithium. Every aspect of the lithium ion battery supply chain mechanism is dominated by China. Every aspect. What are those aspects? You can see mining of lithium ion, production of lithium, so from the scrap, from production of lithium, fabrication of the batteries, manufacturing of the batteries, sale of copper, cobalt, nickel, lithium, what not. In terms of lithium ion battery supply chain mechanism is dominated by this organization, this country called China. Access to these minerals can be affected by social, environmental, economic and geopolitical factors. India has formed strategic alliances with resource-rich countries like Australia for lithium and cobalt to ensure supply chain security of critical and strategic minerals. So, as India has underwent an agreement as a part of Quad, so as underwent an agreement with Australia to supply the rarest minerals called as lithium and cobalt. If you look at the here, cobalt is also available from Australia. So, from we try to establish from the cobalt, and lithium is also there from the Australia. So, lithium and cobalt, for importing lithium and cobalt, we have underwent an agreement with Australia. Recycling and reusing EV batteries can partly address the problem of supply chain risk. Efficient, robust recycling is also required to avoid unsafe and careless disposal of spent lithium batteries, as they can cause significant environmental issues. So, as they can cause significant environmental issues, recycling and reusing of EV batteries can partly address the problem. Once the battery pack loses, 20 to 30% of its capacity, it is deemed unfit for vehicles. So that is why however, it can be repurposed for other less demanding applications such as stationary energy storage systems, low-speed e-bikes, and backup power supply. So once the battery loses 20 to 30% of its original capacity, it is unfit for using to vehicles. So once the battery has lost its energy, it can be repurposed for other less damaging applications such as stationary energy storage systems, low-speed e-bikes, and backup power stations. Like in our houses, we use these inverters like that. The question of recycling and disposal will become pronounced after the end of this second life. So battery will be having two lives. First life. So once the car battery has lost its storage, holding capacity reduces. If it loses its energy 20 to 30%, okay, then however it can be repurposed for other less damaging applications such as stationary energy. And once the second cycle is completed, then the recycling and disposable will become. So EV batteries need dedicated waste centers as they contain materials that can harm the environment. So in a second dimension, in a second aspect, electric vehicles, so even though they are not at all causing any environmental pollution, but the rarest elements or the toxic elements which are being fabricated in this EV batteries can cause environmental pollution in multiple dimensions. Currently, most lithium batteries are not designed to be recycled, making it difficult to take apart the nested cells within a battery pack. Segregation is a complex task and the entire process is energy intensive and also expensive. The recycling process is currently economically viable because of the recovery of rare precious metals such as cobalt. So from the battery, nickel and cobalt are there, which are precious metals. So recycling can be a better option if you can able to do that recycling. The ability of that particular organization is going to increase. Given the development of cobalt-free batteries and the increasing market share of LFPs, the economic viability of the recycling sector is a key question. Niti Aayog estimates that LFP barriers have the lower economic value than LMC batteries. The government notified battery waste management rules. So, battery waste management rules 2022, which specify the standards for handling used EV batteries for manufacturers and consumers. It also mandates the use of recovered minerals. Emerging battery technologies include sodium ion, all solid state, lithium sulfur and metal air batteries. So, lithium batteries, nickel, manganese, cobalt batteries, than that some advanced technologies are going to be applied in battery technology like sodium ion batteries, all solid state batteries, lithium sulfur batteries and metal air batteries. Okay, if successfully commercialized, they may emerge as a viable and sustainable alternative to lithium batteries. So, if successfully commercialized, for example, if these batteries can replace the existing lithium-ion batteries, okay, so these batteries are going to resolve dependence on critical minerals. Another emerging alternate is hydrogen fuel cell powered EVs, in which the electric motor is powered by both fuel cell and battery pack. They use compressed hydrogen to produce electricity. So, these two are the most anticipated segments in your question paper now. Number one, hydrogen fuel cells or green hydrogen mission or electric vehicles. Without these, any of these two, among these two questions, minimum one question will be there in your question paper, for sure. They use compressed hydrogen to produce electricity in the vehicle as well as draw electricity from battery packs. If FCEVs become prevalent, then renewable energy sources will also play a vital role in producing green or low carbon hydrogen, which provides valuable energy storage. Current methods are large scale hydrogen production have high carbon emissions. So for manufacturing the hydrogen also, it is a carbon intensive mechanism. Anyway, you need to there is no other source which is completely a zero power, zero waste. So even in the case of solar panel manufacturing will also produce a certain thing. For example, hydrogen vehicles will not produce any exhaust. For manufacturing the hydrogen from industries, that will produce carbon. Green hydrogen addresses this issue by using solar and wind energy to produce hydrogen. This hydrogen can be used to power fuel cell electric vehicles. Fuel cell cars have not yet been deployed in India for sale. Okay. Currently, these are mostly used in Korea, United States, China, Japan and Germany. The government has released a green hydrogen policy, National Hydrogen Mission, which outline future goals. As mentioned earlier, large-scale EV adoption could potentially reduce local air pollution. Definitely, as EVs, adapting to the EVs will definitely reduce the air pollution. However, EVs can also contribute to GHG emissions depending upon the source of electricity used for charging their battery. Thus, life cycle emissions of EVs running in the regions with coal-based electricity will be higher than those with renewable power generations. Also, battery manufacturing is an energy-intensive process that involves extraction and refining of metals such as lithium, cobalt, nickel and contributes to overall GHG emissions. I hope you understand. Any dimension, you cannot escape without producing any greenhouse gases, but the quantity may reduce, but the percentage may reduce. That is how you need to manage that one. Vehicle manufacturing, okay, internal combustion, okay, engines during vehicle manufacturing, okay, the same is for all the vehicles, you can see this one. Battery emissions, so for the manufacturing of batteries, so certain amount of carbons will be released, whereas in the case of fuel production and end use, electric vehicles with low carbon vehicles are best advisable. So the common thing is for the manufacturing of those vehicles, either it may be high carbon electric vehicle or low carbon electric vehicle, or in the case of internal combustion engine, the energy combustion is same. Currently 75% of India's power is generated from thermal sources and 22% from renewable energy sources. The Central Electricity Authority projects the share of renewables in total electricity generation at 44% by 2031-32. With reliable renewable energy supply, EVs could help reduce greenhouse gas emissions. So remember, could help reduce, not completely eliminate from the transport sector. EV charging basics. So one of the major bottleneck, particularly with reference to this electric vehicles, is nothing but lack of proper infrastructure facility for the charging stations, EV battery can be charged using alternate current or direct current. AC chargers, typically low power, are installed in residential and workplace outlets, whereas DC chargers, fast, high power, are found in public charging stations only. So low power charging stations, which are AC chargers, which are slow and low power, are installed in residential and workplace outlets, or whereas in the case of DCs, direct charging, which are fast, high power, are found in public charging stations. Faster EV adoption in India would require adequate charging infrastructure, public charging stations and battery swapping centers. Sufficient availability of electricity is crucial for electric vehicles to be adopted. So without having proper sufficient electricity, okay, then you cannot anticipate the concept of electric vehicles properly. Okay, CEA estimates electricity requirement and peak demand in 2031-32 to be 2,538 billion units and 330 gigawatts respectively. To meet the increase in peak demand, India aims to add 472 gigawatts of installed capacity during the next 10 years. So as the people are trying to shift to the electric vehicles, so the growth rate to shift to the electric vehicles is increasing. Definitely the combustion, the dependency is also increasing. This capacity addition target will require an investment of robust 32 lakh crores. The capacity addition target for the 2017-22 period was 176 gigawatts, of which India could only add 85 gigawatts. As per CEA, the possible reasons for the shortfall were COVID-19 pandemic, land acquisition issues, fund constraints with contractors and contractual disputes. The increased load on the distribution system due to EVs will depend on when EVs are charged. The extra load can be spread away from the peak demand period using time of day metering. Consumers can charge an EV at any available charging outlet. The distribution companies are required to provide free electricity to agriculture consumers. There is a possibility that such subsidized connections are used for domestic or commercial EV charging. This could cause financial losses to DISCOMs and increase the government subsidy bill. Some states like Madhya Pradesh have mandated separate power connections for EV chargings to curb such practices. However, it may be difficult to monitor and ensure compliance. So as they are giving more subsidies, if the people are using it for multiple purposes, that will be a problem. So Madhya Pradesh is trying to give separate power lines exclusively for the EV charging stations. Petrol and diesel are taxed heavily, about 50 to 60, while electricity for EVs is subsidies. That is why electric vehicles are relatively cheaper. In true sense, they are not really cheaper. As a measure to encourage production and adoption of EVs, GST is lower on EVs, and many states also impose lower road tax and registration tax. FAME 2 subsidy also offers up to 40% reduction on upfront purchase cost of two-wheeler. A high rate of adoption of EVs could therefore have an adverse impact on government finances. One possible concern is that potential job loss of automobile mechanics, given that EVs have few working parts and need minimal maintenance. So regular maintenance, so this is one of the main disadvantage. So number one, employment in manufacturing, because the EVs will be having very less minimal parts. So manufacturing will be very less. Number two, the servicing to the EVs will drastically changes. So they does not have that much higher number of parts. However, this may not be a concern in the scenario of 13% penetration of new four-wheeler EV sales by 2030, as ICE vehicles on the road will still be more than now 6% per annum, similar to expected GDP growth. So that's it about the electric vehicles. So I personally believe this can be the most expected question either for your mains science and technology segment in chapter 1 or chapter 5. Sometimes if luck favors, you can also expect this question, particularly from general essay also. You get ready for the thing. So what I strongly suggest you is try to make tables from this segment. If you can make tables from this segment, you are going to have 10 out of 10 marks from, if it is for 10 marks, 40 to 43 marks can be scored, particularly if the question is from general essay. So with so much of trouble, try to bahat as much as possible factual information and try to draw tables. With these two things, you can able to score extremely great marks for your examination pattern. So thank you very much. We will continue in another class.